Very excited to now welcome to the show the director of Protect the Sacred, Ali Young. Welcome to the Damage Report.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Very glad to have you on, although we are going to be talking about some pretty serious and dark topics. I want to start off with your organization. Can you tell us a little bit about Protect the Sacred, what its mission is?
Sure. Protect the Sacred started about the end of March, I believe, and we launched it so that we launched Protect the Sacred as a call to Native youth or Navajo youth to step up in this time to be leaders and messengers. We saw that there was an information gap between our younger people and our elders. A lot of our elders don't speak English, and what they were seeing on TV is hard to understand. And so we were kind of that middle person to provide context and also relay the severity of the virus to our youth, who then were the ones that took that messaging back to their families and really led the charge to staying home, because protecting the sacred to Indigenous peoples means protecting our elders, who are the carriers of our knowledge, our language, and our stories and our culture. And our youth are still learning all of that and eager to learn those traditional teachings from our elders.
Okay. And a strong contrast to some who've been advocating reopening nationally, and if that costs a few grandmas and grandpas, then that's a necessary cost. So your organization, I'm sure, over time is going to address a lot of different topics, understandably very focused on the pandemic right now. And I don't know what percentage of the American public know, but the Navajo Nation, the incidence of coronavirus is the highest anywhere, higher than New York City. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, right now we're considered the number one hotspot per capita. And that's because our Navajo Nation is the population living on Navajo is approximately 173 to 175,000. And, we're just seeing this surge in cases and deaths. And for a Native community, right now, I think we're up to, I think somewhere between like 150 to 160 deaths. And for a Native community, that's a lot of deaths when you consider the fact that we've overcome so much and have survived genocide and forced assimilation. And right now, we're really fighting for what we have left after centuries of that trauma, and that's what we're protecting. And so that's why it is a big deal that a Native American reservation is being impacted like this, because we are the first peoples of this land, and we're guaranteed healthcare and education in our treaties, and all of that is being broken right now, especially with this lag of federal aid from the government.
And so, has the situation over the past month or so, has it been improving? Have you seen the curve start to flatten? And when you reference the lacking aid coming from the federal government, what would be most helpful right now at this point?
Yeah, there's starting to be a flattening of the curve. I think we're still a ways from our plateau, but what we are seeing, because of our leadership in our Navajo Nation president, Jonathan Nez, who has been enforcing stricter lockdowns. So now on the weekends we have, instead of, before they were called curfews, and people could still travel around the reservation. So our Navajo Nation president has enforced stricter lockdowns, and so now we're at a point where the fast food restaurants, even the gas stations, are closed on the weekends. So there's absolutely nowhere that anyone can go, and we are seeing a positive result from that.
Okay, and how have those sorts of efforts, how have they been accepted by the people living in the area?
It's hard, especially because we are living in a generation where, things are more convenient, even for us, living on reservations. But so there's just a balance, and I think that's that our youth and our people, thankfully, have realized the importance of staying home, social distancing, taking precautions. And I think that, in the beginning, it was hard to communicate that, but as we're seeing the severity and the impact on our reservation, we are respecting it more and staying home.
And I wonder, it seemed like throughout the pandemic, the only times that the government has taken any part of this seriously is when there has been a massive amount of outrage and media coverage. And so you're talking about how there's been a lack of aid in a variety of different areas, and there's also obviously a lack of press coverage about the fact that this is even going on the reservation. Do you think that those two things are likely linked?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, well, actually, the Navajo Nation president, in a interview with CNN, he sort of credited the awareness that we're bringing to the Navajo Nation through Protect the Sacred, because, I started this with a friend of mine, Mark Ruffalo, and Mark has helped us with connections, to Governor Cuomo, Chris Cuomo, Sean Penn, and Chef Jose Andres, who were here just last week, coming to bring this aid to the Navajo Nation. Making those introductions to the Navajo Nation and the Navajo Nation president, and raising that awareness with his platform and the platform of some of his friends who are Hollywood influencers and activists and allies, has been tremendous, and it's helped greatly, according to our Navajo Nation president. But the Navajo Nation president even said that he feels, because of that awareness, it put pressure on the government, because the United States president, I think he tunes into the news all the time to see what people are saying about him. So I'm sure that he was seeing that that our nation is speaking out, and that we do need this help, and I think we put that pressure on them.
I'm glad to hear that, and I hope that it pays off, especially with lives still very much being on the line. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.